A TikTok creator with 1.3 million views organized a meet and greet. Can you guess how many people showed up? That's right, 0 people showed up. Meanwhile, if a podcaster with 100,000 followers did a meet and greet, they would be turning people away at the door. And today I'm going to show you why this happens and how you can build a content strategy that lets you build long-lasting relationships. My name is Richard, and together with my team, we've worked with some of the biggest podcasters and content creators in the world. And what we've learned is there's a fundamental difference between followers and fans. And in today's video, I'm going to show you the content value ladder that takes someone from being a follower into a true superfan. So let's first talk about the rule of 7. Now, the rule of 7 was something pinned in the 1930s in the movie scene, which is about you need 7 touch points before someone is going to buy from your brand. But here's where it's evolved. Now, we're not talking about 7 random touches anymore. We're talking about 7 meaningful engagements that build trust over a period of time that turns a follower into a superfan. And that's where the engagement value ladder comes in. Now, before we dive straight in, we want to know what the end goal is. So I need to introduce Kevin Kelly. Now, Kevin Kelly was the editor of Wired magazine, and he coined the phrase 1,000 true fans. Now, the idea of this is that some people will travel 200 miles to hear you sing. These are the super fans. And the maths behind it is if you can get 1,000 true fans just to pay $100 a year, you'll be making $100,000 a year from just 1,000 true fans. So you don't need 1 million followers. All you need is 1,000 true fans. So let's break down this ladder and show you how you can build an audience by going deep with them. So the idea is that nobody is going to watch your 2-hour-long podcast just because they haven't built enough trust and they haven't built a relationship with you. They don't know if they're going to be able to enjoy this podcast. They don't know who you are. Your content might not be as great as you think it is, but they might give you a shot at doing 30 seconds on a platform like TikTok. So you've got to take your audience members on a bit of a trip, and this is the 7 touch points, right? If you can get them at 30 seconds long on TikTok, you might see them 5, 6, 7, 8 times, right? When you're just scrolling on the sofa. Then they might catch you on Instagram, and it might be a bit longer. Generally, the audiences are a little bit older than TikTok, and this follows from your left to right, right? So you've got TikTok as the youngest audience. You have a little bit more content length you can have on Instagram because of the audience type. Then you want to bring them onto places like YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, things like that. So you've got to take those people on the journey through those short form contents, onto the mid form contents, then onto the podcast, right? Okay, so let's take a look at that ladder. So over on this side, we have TikTok. Now, TikTok is generally a younger audience, smaller bite-sized pieces of content, but you're also not building that relationship with that user, and they're not very monetizable. However, on TikTok, it's easier to grow a following on TikTok. Whether you build that deep connection or not, it's easier to get likes and engagements over there. Next up, you've got Instagram. Now, Instagram, you can send DMs, you can do stories, you can start building a little bit of a connection between you and the audience, you and the viewer of your content, and they might feel like they've got a connection to you, and they might start wanting to follow you along with your life. So if you have bigger content, once they're embedded here in Instagram, they might want to shuffle onto longer form content. So these are kind of your middle ground ones here, like your Facebook, your X, your LinkedIn. These kind of depend which category you're in, right? So if you're a professional, you'll probably be on LinkedIn. Generally, the older audience now are going to be on Facebook. You also have a lot of the thought leadery type people that are still on X. But for me, where the real magic happens is when we get them across to YouTube. So YouTube is just growing phenomenally at the moment. Video podcasts are outstripping audio. So YouTube is where we want to get our audience on. People here will quite happily spend 10, 20, 30 minutes of time on mid-form content. And there's also your podcast content, right, as well. And I think YouTube is that place where people go from the awareness of you to kind of starting to understand you and connect with you even deeper and build that trust and hear your voice and know a little bit more about you personally. Then I think finally we're getting onto the podcast. Now, the podcast game is a hard game. It's not an easy game. Anyone who says that they can make you blow up on podcasting alone is just full of it, right? Audio is even worse than video for that discoverability, but at least YouTube has that discoverability. And if you're doing clips, like the mid-form clips we explained, 5, 10, 15-minute clips, that's going to be at least connected to your podcast if you've got them on the same channel, right? So people are going to start trusting you from those clips and they'll follow you onto your podcast, especially if the content is there. It's all about content at the end of the day. You can have all the fancy editing you want, but if the content is not there, the podcast is not going to grow. And beyond podcasting even, we have things like courses and books. So once you've built that loyal audience, they'll follow you places. So maybe you've got a podcast about eating healthy and you've got a course showing people how to eat healthy with the recipes. That's something that your followers from podcasting will probably go a lot more easy than they would do from TikTok. So how do we use this strategy? Well, I think ultimately we start over here. We start over here with the podcasting and we repurpose that content down to those 5, 10, 15-minute clips, then down to those short form clips. Daily is always good for both the mid form and the short form. And here's something that not a lot of creators are doing right now, but TikTok doesn't punish you for releasing bad content in the way that platforms like Instagram does. If people are not liking your content on Instagram, you're going to start getting less impressions, which is how many people you're shown to. On TikTok, that's not the case. So what you could actually do is trial all your shorts on TikTok, and the ones that blow up, they're the ones that are valuable, they're the ones that people are enjoying, then you can move that over to Instagram. So you're using TikTok as a bit of a trial playground for Instagram. Then ultimately, bottom of the funnel is monetization. So whether you're doing that through courses, book sales, maybe live events, that is a result of you building this audience through short form into mid form, and then finally into long form content, and then the premium content. So just remember, the goal isn't to get 1 million TikTok followers. The goal here is to find your true fans and build a deep relationship with those true fans. And it may take those 7 meaningful touch points, each becoming progressively more deep and meaningful as time goes on. So remember, it takes about 7 touch points before someone is going to purchase from your brand. And those interactions have to become more meaningful over time. You can't just rely on TikTok views. You need to transition your audience to more deeper forms of content. Whether you're just starting out or you've got a following already, you can use this strategy to bring your audience to a more meaningful level. If you found this video useful, please like and subscribe to get more content like this.